it blows my mind having the billboard on Sunset Boulevard after breaking the world record with Motul Oils was just crazy. And yeah, it's unbelievable
Well,
sometimes.
Emelia Hartford built a huge following by turning her love for cars into a successful career, becoming known for wild builds, fast machines, and a personality that stands out. But behind the cars and social media success, criticism has continued to grow. Some viewers question her content, her choices, and the way she handles the spotlight, while others strongly defend her. So, what caused the backlash against Emelia Hartford, and why do some call her one of the most controversial car influencers online? The ambition that divided Emelia Hartford fans. From a very young age, Emelia Hartford understood that life was not going to take care of her simply. She lost her father at a tender age and watched her mother work toward a better future, while Emelia learned that if she wanted something, she would have to work for it. Money was tight, bills still had to be paid, and some jobs and responsibilities could not be ignored. There was no easy road waiting for her. That background may explain why Emelia approaches cars with such incredible intensity. For her, building a car was never just about making something look good. When she took on a project, she wanted to understand it, improve it, and push it further than people expected. Over time, that mindset helped turn her passion into a career centered on ambitious projects, drag racing, track driving, and videos that let viewers watch every step of the process. And that is where the story begins to get complicated. As Emelia's audience grew, so did the attention surrounding every decision she made. A build could be praised by thousands of people and criticized by thousands more. A sponsorship could attract questions. A failed project could become a talking point. Even a small mistake could be replayed, discussed, and judged by people watching from behind a screen. Suddenly, the same qualities that helped make Emelia successful began creating a completely different reaction. Her competitiveness could be seen as determination by one person and obsession by another. Her confidence could inspire fans while frustrating critics. And her constant push toward faster, bigger, and more extreme builds could make her look fearless, while some enthusiasts began wondering whether the spectacle was becoming as important as the cars themselves. That tension is hard to ignore when looking at Emelia's reputation today. The question has never really been whether she loves cars, because that passion is obvious. What has people talking is how that passion, ambition, and success have changed the way some fans see her. The question is whether that relentless ambition has changed the way people see her. Is Emelia simply an ambitious enthusiast who refused to settle for ordinary? Or has the pressure to constantly outdo herself created the darker image that now follows her? Emelia developed a mindset of working for anything she wanted, regardless of the obstacles. But what is the dark side of her success that many people are unaware of? And how demanding is the pressure that continues to shape her life? Let's uncover the intriguing details. The struggling car enthusiast. The interesting thing about Emelia Hartford's rise is that it only looks like an overnight success when people see the final result. From the outside, it can seem like everything happened suddenly. One moment, someone is still trying to make a name for themselves, and the next, they are building incredible machines, breaking records, appearing in major productions, and working alongside some of the biggest names in the automotive industry. But behind that success was a much longer journey that most people never witnessed. Before the attention, before the massive projects, and before millions of people started following her work, Emelia was spending years learning, experimenting, and figuring things out, one step at a time. She was not just learning how to build cars, she was also learning how to turn those builds into stories that people wanted to follow. There was no simple guide telling her exactly what to do. She had to make mistakes, face unexpected problems, search for solutions, and surround herself with people who had knowledge and experience she did not yet have. One thing that stood out about Emelia was her willingness to admit that she did not know everything. Instead of pretending to have all the answers, she would reach out to experts, ask questions, learn from their experience, and apply that knowledge to her next project. That mindset helped her improve, and slowly, more people began paying attention. What truly connected her with audiences was that they were not only seeing the finished products, they were seeing the journey behind them. They watched when things went perfectly. They also watched when things failed, when unexpected issues appeared, and when Emelia had to find creative ways to solve problems. That honesty made people feel like they were part of the process, rather than simply watching from a distance. However, success also brought a new challenge. The bigger Emelia became, the higher the expectations became. A successful build was no longer enough. A fast car had to become even faster. A record-breaking achievement had to be followed by something even more impressive. Eventually, the conversation changed. People were no longer asking if Emelia could create incredible machines. They were asking how far she could continue pushing the limits, and whether constantly chasing something bigger was becoming the greatest challenge of all. Emelia disciplined herself to learn and experiment long before fame arrived. But could she continue experimenting with what she had learned once fame came? And just how far would she be willing to go? Let's find out. Emelia Hartford's extreme approach to cars. One of the best examples of Emelia Hartford's extreme approach to car building was her ambitious Nissan Z project. From the very beginning, the idea was something most people would have considered unrealistic. The plan was to take a modern Nissan Z, replace its original engine with the powerful VR38 engine from the Nissan GT-R, and turn the car into a serious drag racing machine. But building the car was only part of the challenge. The team had just 57 days to complete the entire project. That meant there was no space for delays or major mistakes. Every part needed to arrive at the right time. Every custom piece had to fit correctly. Every problem had to be solved quickly, because one small setback could threaten the entire deadline. The build required solving complicated challenges involving engine placement, transmission setup, fabrication, wiring, and countless other technical details that most people never see. However, what made the project stand out was that Emelia did not want to completely erase what made the Nissan Z special. She wanted the car to remain recognizable. The factory steering wheel stayed. The original dashboard stayed. The body panels stayed. Instead of creating a completely different race car hidden inside a Z-shaped shell, she wanted something that still felt like a Nissan Z, just taken to an extreme level. And eventually, the hard work delivered an impressive result. The car completed a quarter-mile run in 7.55 seconds at 181 miles per hour, proving the ambitious idea had become a reality. But for Emelia, that achievement was not the end. Almost immediately, she began looking toward the next goal, reaching the 6-second range. And that perfectly captures the personality behind her career. To her fans, this constant desire to improve is what makes her exciting. She refuses to accept limits and always wants to discover what is possible. But others see the pressure that comes with always chasing something bigger. There is always another record to break, another build to complete, and another challenge waiting. And that creates the question surrounding Emelia today. Is this endless pursuit simply the result of a genuine love for cars, or does it need to create bigger and more impressive moments to become part of the competition itself? That question does not automatically make the criticism fair, but it does explain why reactions to Emelia have become so divided. Emelia embarked on a project that seemed almost impossible to accomplish, yet she managed to achieve success. But could there be a hidden cost behind that achievement? And could there be more to the story than what we saw on the surface? Let's uncover the details. The battle between passion and perfection. Emelia Hartford has never been shy about admitting that she is a highly competitive person. When she decides to chase a goal, she does not simply show up and hope for the best. She gives it everything she has. But sometimes, that competitive nature goes beyond just wanting to win. Emelia has described herself as someone who can become extremely focused, almost obsessive when she is working towards something important. That mindset has helped her accomplish things that many people would consider impossible. Building record-setting cars requires patience, discipline, and the willingness to keep pushing when most people would stop. However, that same determination can also come with a hidden cost. When every race has to be faster, every build has to be more impressive, and every project has to surpass the last one, it becomes easy to lose sight of the original passion that started the journey. Emelia has admitted that she sometimes has to pause and remind herself to appreciate the progress she has already made. Instead of constantly chasing the next achievement, she has to look back and recognize how far she has come. And that reveals a much more human side of her story. Behind the confident personality seen online is someone still learning how to balance massive ambition with the simple joy of creating. This is where the idea of Emelia's dark side becomes more interesting. It may not be about a hidden controversy or some secret problem behind the scenes. Instead, it may be the pressure that comes when someone is constantly trying to reach a higher level. Fans see the records. They see the finished machines. They see the celebrations after success. But they do not always see the difficult moments. They do not see the frustration, the failed attempts, the broken parts, or the times when one small issue turns into a chain of unexpected problems. Emelia knows those moments well. She has experienced times when a project becomes overwhelming and makes her question why she started in the first place. Yet, despite all of that, she always returns. Because for Emelia Hartford, the struggle has never been separate from the passion. It has always been part of what drives her forward. Emelia has admitted that she can become obsessive when she really wants to get a project done, always pushing herself to balance ambition with her bigger purpose. But why are some fans questioning her brand? And is she really as disliked as some people claim? Let's find out. More than a car builder. As Emelia Hartford's audience kept growing, her world began to change. She was no longer simply a car enthusiast building wild projects in a garage. Suddenly, more people were watching, judging, and following her journey. Emelia had become a recognizable face, a public figure, and ultimately, a brand. And once that happens, everything changes. When someone builds cars privately, the pressure is completely different. A project can fail, a part can break, or a plan can go wrong, and only a small group of friends may ever know about it. But when millions of people are watching, every decision becomes part of a much bigger story. The car was no longer just a machine being built in a garage. It had become a story people wanted to follow. Every setback raised new questions, every problem added tension, and every small victory kept viewers watching. With the deadline getting closer, the final reveal became something everyone was genuinely waiting to see. And whatever the outcome brings, success or disappointment, the audience feels every high and low alongside the creator, making the journey deeply personal. That creates a complicated relationship between an influencer and the people watching them. Some fans become incredibly loyal. They celebrate every achievement, support every new project, and defend the creator when criticism appears. They see the hard work, the risks, and the dedication behind the scenes. But others begin looking at things differently. They start asking questions. Are the projects becoming more extreme because the cars are truly pushing boundaries? Or because bigger projects create more attention? Are sponsorships changing the way decisions are made? Is the focus still purely on automotive passion? Or has creating content become part of the competition? Once those conversations begin, they can quickly grow. Is Emelia actually disliked by a large number of people? Or has she simply reached a level of success where every move is analyzed and criticized? those are really two different things. The bigger Emelia's audience becomes, the more opinions she faces, and honestly, pleasing everyone becomes almost impossible, no matter how hard she tries. Emelia's willingness to take risks, challenge limits, and create unusual projects naturally creates strong opinions. Beyond Emelia's ambition, which has divided opinions among her fans, what other side of her life remains largely unknown outside the garage world? And how does she manage it all while keeping everything together? Let's uncover the astonishing details. Beyond the cars. Behind the roaring engines, racing events, record-breaking runs, and wild car builds, there is another side of Emelia Hartford that many fans rarely get to see. Away from the garage and the noise of horsepower, she has a creative side driven by imagination, storytelling, and a desire to explore something completely different. Long before automotive content became the center of her career, acting was something Emelia deeply cared about. And even after finding success in the car world, she never completely walked away from that dream. She continued attending acting classes, studying the craft, and working to improve herself outside the garage. One of the most meaningful moments in her journey came when she became involved in the Gran Turismo movie. For Emelia, the experience represented something special because it combined two things she had always loved: cars and storytelling. This time, Emelia was doing something completely different. She was not just building a car for viewers to admire, explaining a modification, or pushing a machine around a track. She was stepping into a story, becoming a character, and discovering an entirely new side of entertainment that allowed her creativity to shine in a way fans had never seen before. That moment reminded her that acting was not just an old dream she had left behind. It was still a part of who she was. And that revealed something important about Emelia's journey. Her goal was never only about becoming a famous car influencer. She wanted to prove that she could create a life based on her own passions, even if those passions existed in completely different worlds. She also created Return to Life, a brand built around growth, starting over, finding purpose, and learning from difficult moments. It reflects a side of Emelia that goes beyond cars, showing how deeply she values rebuilding life. Perhaps that is the most interesting part of her story. The Emelia people see today was not created overnight. She was shaped by years of uncertainty, challenges, mistakes, lessons, and determination. Even the cars she builds represent more than mechanical achievements. They represent growth. They represent obstacles overcome. And in many ways, they represent the person Emelia is still working to become. Aside from the fact that Emelia's personality goes far beyond the garage, is she really the most hated car influencer? Or has the pressure that comes with success shaped the way people see her? Now, let's uncover the truth behind the label. The pressure of success. At this point, one thing becomes pretty clear. Calling Emelia Hartford the most hated car influencer is a serious claim, and it goes far beyond simply saying that people criticize her. Because when you look at her journey, the picture is much more complicated than that. Emelia has built a huge audience by doing what many people would probably think twice about. She learns, experiments, takes on difficult builds, and keeps pushing herself to see what she can accomplish. For some fans, that determination is exactly what makes her inspiring. They respect the fact that she is willing to get her hands dirty, learn from people with more experience, and keep going even when things do not work out the first time. But there is another side to popularity. The bigger your audience becomes, the more people start watching everything you do. Some viewers admire the ambition and see someone who refuses to settle. Others feel that the constant need to go bigger, faster, and crazier can sometimes become too much. And that is where Emelia's own personality becomes important. She has admitted that she can become extremely competitive and even obsessive when she gets locked into a project. She wants to improve, beat her previous results, and prove that she can accomplish what she set out to do. That drive may be one of the reasons behind her success, but it can also create enormous pressure. Because eventually, the question becomes, when does ambition stop being exciting and start becoming exhausting? There's also something worth remembering. Emelia has never claimed to know everything. She asks questions, seeks advice, and learns from those with more experience. Reducing her story to simply good or bad misses the bigger picture. Perhaps her real struggle is the constant pressure to prove herself, push further, and always achieve more. And somehow, through all of that, remember why you started. So, is Emelia really the most hated car influencer? Or has becoming one of the most recognizable names in automotive content simply made her impossible for everyone to agree on? Because sometimes, the person receiving the most criticism is not necessarily the person doing the worst. Sometimes it is simply the person everyone is watching. So, what do you think about Emelia's personality? Is she truly the most hated car influencer? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.